we don't require any type of notice, as long as they're out by the last day of the month, have their lock taken off. Just make sure they are understanding of that process. Make sure everything is out of the unit. Make sure that lock's taken off. I mean, how many times have we cut a lock for auction, lifted that door, and nothing is in it? We weren't notified. So I would say just really make sure you nail that hard on them too. Whenever you see them, it looks like somebody's moving out, always just stop and say, hey, just make sure if you're vacating, everything's out, the lock's off. And of course, you can hit that during the move-in process too, but 90% of the time, they're not going to remember that. So
I think a lot of our managers struggle with the fact that we're month to month, and the customer also struggles with the fact that we're month to month. Even though we told them when they moved in, we would not be prorating their rent when they move out, they still expect us to do so.
Yeah.
And we don't. And it is so hard time after time when customers want a refund or they just want to pay for a few days. That's one of the most difficult things that I see our managers have to deal with pretty frequently. The customers have been told, they just didn't listen. It's in the lease, which they didn't read. But for the most part, we just tell them, well, you get to have it for another month, so you don't have to be in a hurry to move out. If someone moves out at the end of the month, but then our manager doesn't move them out until the 1st, they have to write off those charges as bad debt for the whole month, unless they backdate the move out. And I really don't like that to happen unless the 1st is on a Sunday. So we just view the reports to make sure everyone is moving out on time. If anyone did get prorated, if charges were written off, and we don't really track if they leave anything behind or not.
Most of the time I've learned that it's better to just cut your losses, write that off, and then re-rent that unit back out. It's not worth trying to go after the customer, trying to recover. You're never going to see the money. I mean, you're just not. And why create a bad reputation with that customer when you could just write it off and re-rent that unit, just make your revenue back?
Yeah, and that probably shouldn't be happening very often if you're in communication with your tenants the way that you need to be. If they've not paid, collection starts day one. And if they're not responding by phone, text them or email them, try your very best so that doesn't happen.